Welcome to Allegedly Higher, where humor, insight, and passion collide with higher education. Hosted by Dr. Erin and Dr. Candice. Join them as they dive into headlines, interview leaders, and challenge norms. From dismantling systems to championing equity, this podcast is your go-to for transforming the ivory tower. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Allegedly Higher. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're brand new, Allegedly Higher is a podcast where we dissect issues in higher education through a human-centered lens with a little bit of a pop culture flair. I am your host, Dr. Erin, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, partner in crime. As you see, she's a fugitive, Dr. Candice, and we are your guys to guide you through the maze of academia and all the ministerial and craziness that's going on in higher education. Most people don't know that higher education is like a mini soap opera.
Oh my goodness. It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's generational soap operas, like it is.
Yeah, I think we can have a little Grey's Anatomy. Great. Shonda.
Young and the Restless generation, Days of Our Lives. Lord, where is the guiding light? And as the colleges turn, yes, we do all of that.
General City ain't got nothing on this.
Woo, child. Clutching the pearls.
Well, Dr. Jackson, what have you been up to since we last recorded?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. I'm planning for things at the church. I'm planning for things with the Jackson Film Festival. So that's going into really go time. But I was on set. We're working on the production company I work with as well is working on a trailer for the Robert Hall story. So we're actually premiering that tonight. So that's exciting. That's exciting. And Robert Hall was an officer. In Tupelo, Mississippi, I guess I can go on and reveal that, who was really active, who was respected by the community and trying to rid his police department of corruption and corrupt cops, both black and white. So it's a fascinating story about how the town rallied around him at a very low point in trying to do all these wonderful things for his city. So that's exciting. So that was good.
Oh, good.
And then I'm trying to get rid of grade my papers, so I can have my Professor Summer. That's what I want.
Yeah, students be thinking they the only people ready to go,
because they've never even been there. They don't all semester, so we're tired. No, we're tired. We got to grade this stuff, get these grades in, and be done. And no, there's nothing you can do. Your average is an 8, sir. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. So yeah, that's what's going on. Like
you. My friend, I won't give her name, just in case, but she teaches online, and she shared in our group chat that she accidentally, because when she's grading papers online, she has a system and she just inputs, whatever she wants to say, but she accidentally didn't remove the name of the person she copied and pasted the last response to. And so she said this student who has always turned in papers late, who never does assignment and is on borderline failing, had the nerve enough to say, my name is not X, but it is this. This is a bad start we're getting off to a bad start.
He said it to who?
My friend, the professor. Yeah. She sent him a nice note.
Baby, listen.
Not all she wanted to say. She told us what she wanted to say. She cleaned it up for him. Mainly saying, I don't know who you talking to. You were already failing, and you got that right because Danny is actually passing. I'm sorry to mix that up.
It just,
The audacity, the failing student audacity.
Can I make up a whole semester in the last 2 weeks?
No.
I mean, I know I had one colleague who literally said someone called her and asked her if her student could make up the hours just by sitting in her office because
now
she's
you
missed
have to look
like
at me and
12
still
days. Oh my God, to make up the hours so she wouldn't have an attendance fail. I said, if you do that, I will put you in timeout. No, but yeah, that's what higher ed prop life is.
Well, props to y'all. God had diverted my path, not directly. I taught a little bit, but not full time, and I still don't know if I adjunct positions, but I honestly don't know that I really want to.
Y'all, listen, it's not for the weak.
No,
It's not for the weak. Shout out to David Arnold. Rest in peace. It ain't for the weak.
No.
It ain't for the weak. That's my life. Yeah.
Well, I have just come from crazy week. I went from fixing a water line in the dirt on Monday. Yes, I had a water leak. Thank God my dad is still in good health and knows how to do things. He tried, he was busy, and I was like, all right, I ain't gonna fool with you. I'm asked the plumber to come out, and I thought it was a good price. And he was like, nah, that's too high. I said, huh? And then all of a sudden, he said, let me see what I can do. Let's see what we can do. I said, all right. So I was prepared to pay for little things, some Lowe's. White collar work, blue collar work is not for me. I mean, hell, white collar work ain't either. But he came up from AB with his, his equipment and tools. And I'm like, y'all, this got to be done on Monday. I'm preparing for a presentation on Thursday, and I leave out of town on Friday. Like, thank God the presentation was done the weekend before. But yeah, because I knew, and it showed. I hadn't seen that presentation since the weekend before. And so, yeah, I went from fixing a water line. The pipe just came out. Nothing was broken. God must have meant it for me to have some good time in the dirt with mom and dad. Yeah, just quality time because it was nothing broken. He took some pipe glue out his truck and fixed it. And my $100 water problem was fine. That's how much my water bill went up.
Look at that.
Yeah, so I went from dirt to polished presenter to reliving my life as a fresh neophyte with my line sisters, our 19th year anniversary. So can't tell by the colors of this podcast, you guys, but I'm a Delta. She's the one that loves frogs in the pink and green. So I did a little razzle dazzle for her in these colors.
Yeah, you said 19 years. Like my line sisters and I are celebrating 30 this year.
Yeah.
30. I just cannot believe it. But yeah. But it's sweet. Well, every time when you get together, it's always shenanigans.
Did you have them?
I love them. I love it. You get to relive it. And now you got the bail money, so it's okay.
Some of us do.
You got the bail money.
So let's move on to our We Outside. We Outside is what's been on our Instagram, what we actually literally share it in our text message back and forth. Like, girl, did you see this? You see this? You see this? Dr. Jackson don't answer her Instagram DMs. So
no, I forget about them.
Yeah, so I have to text her. She sends me TikToks though. Yeah, she sends me TikToks. I send her IGs. It's their well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Last time we had a lot to talk about, but this we honestly couldn't think of not one except for I just literally have in my show notes Chris Brown and Kendrick Lamar. King Chris and
They're
Kendrick.
winning. They are winning. They are winning, right?
Out of this whole month-long beef, I only listen to two. So I know I might be biased, and I'm not an official judge, but I listen to what I want to listen to because I knew what was happening. And the two artists who are known to perfect their craft, Chris Brown and Kendrick Lamar, I think it should just stop there. Just nobody say nothing else.
Do not respond. Okay. Do not respond.
It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. Drake tried to pull a punch. You slick, Drake. That little Instagram story where you was reading from 10 things I hate about you. You should have pulled up the real thing with DMX saying it, but you did not have the to do that.
You did not have the capacity. You did not have the capacity. Listen. I listened to every TikTok, watched every TikTok response to the Chris Brown track because it became part of the song to watch people hear it and react to it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I mean, it was, I love hip hop. I truly do. Like it's only a couple of years older than me. So I love it. I've seen it. I've seen the ebbs, the flows, the trends, the whatever. But this was such a throwback to like real hip hop diss track, clarity, the gist, and to the jugular hits. As long as
this was a hit 'em up. This was a hit 'em up for
one creator even pretended she was Faith Evans calling the girl. What's her name? What's the baby name? No, this
Sweetie. Yeah, Karuchi got some stray bullets too.
Right. So she said, "Oh yeah, we have a basically saying we have a support group for girls who are just trying to mind their own business." Like
she really would. She really
so
would.
When Kendrick's dropped, I was just like, "Oh God, you thought you were gonna go up against a Pulitzer Prize winning?"
I meant to bring that up. Let me pull up Kevin Powell, our friend Kevin Powell.
Yes, we love Kevin. He just had a birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. He wrote the most elegant response and brought up that, like, he responds when he needs to. But he didn't say how exactly what she said. How are you going to go again? This is why he's a Pulitzer Prize. We got 3 different beats, 3 different flows.
I just, sir, do not. There's a certain maturity that comes with knowing you just stay down and live to fight another day, right? Recognize that that's not your ministry.
Yeah.
I think really if we get to that point to be able to say, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me.
Just go on about your business. Release your rap song records and just go. Just go. Just because this is I keep most people think that I am quiet and nice. I am quiet because I don't want to be mean. Because when I tell you off, it may have a few, foul words in it, but it's not it's going to cut you to the white meat. And it's not, you're not going, the adrenaline, you're not going to feel until you get home and realize, dang, I got cut.
Exactly.
So I know Kendrick. This is Kendrick. He's like, listen, I was taking care of my kid and my wife. I was doing what I was supposed to do. But listen, I ain't liked you since Ben. Since Ben.
I never.
I don't like you as a person, as a daddy, as an artist, as a Canadian.
Right.
I hate the way you talk, you breathe, you rap, you sing. I don't like the way you parent. You don't help your kid to pray. You don't show them. You don't show them the way.
Nothing. You just don't. You just
Don't.
But and I think again, in the response to it, like you just don't. Just Drake Quavo, y'all just drown in your own tears. Just drown.
Go cry in the car. Go cry in your very expensive car. And drive
go
off.
make that grocery store music. And be through. And I do. I can listen to, it's and of course Drake has become very problematic.
He is. I want old Drake. If I can get the old Drake back, and I know some of it is toxic. Even when 50 Cent say I want the old 50, he was like, I can't go back because that was a very low period of my life. That first album, Get Rich or Die Trying, which was the soundtrack of my senior year in first year in college. If I can get the old Drake back, the old Kanye,
right,
take me back. But I don't. This new, I don't know. I don't get it.
I think and even as we're always, we're laughing about it, but to take it in this sort of pop culture academic space, the lyricism, I was like, the lyricism, the craftsmanship of what those two, what Chris Brown and Kendrick Lamar have done, as opposed to the responses, which are not well thought out. Whatever, if someone had their ghostwriters just weren't writing as ghostly, it just as they should be, they were not. I realize that you can't get the fun of it back. I think Drake brought a little fun back in his work in the early days. I don't know what, right? And then you realize after a period of time that somebody seems to be a one-trick pony with their art. And so then that's your separation. And then child, listen. And again, I like what I like. I hear it on the radio. I bop to it, blah, 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 whatever it is. The fact that I just said bop should tell you how old I am. However, I can appreciate a good dish track.
Yeah.
As long as y'all keep it on vinyl, as long as y'all keep it on wax. Let's make this a fun discussion. Let's not go any further. We're not trying to get anybody let's keep the gunshots on vinyl. Right. Because some of these lines.
I don't know if anybody, I don't know if any one of them are, I don't even want to say real. I don't know if any one of them are capable. Quavo definitely won't because of what happened to Takeoff. Like I don't see this moving off.
I just hope not.
Because we not in that era no more.
Are we not?
I don't think that count. Now, if you do, because somebody mentioned another rapper who shot a friend. I can't remember who. It might have been Chris Brown. I can't remember. There's some younger artists who are that ignorant to carry whatever beef they got going. I don't think this set from Rick to Kendrick to Future to Chris, I don't think that they gonna do that. Now, I mean, Chris Brown and Quavo stood together in a fashion show twice.
Well, he
never said a mumbling word.
He said he just didn't want to mess up his bag. Listen.
Again, that's why I'm saying that's not going. I don't think that.
Now, if they try it again, whoever tries it again, it's going to be the 95 Source Awards. Let's just, that's a pivotal moment. in hip hop history. The 95
But look at okay. Do you think Chris Brown really brought out all of Quavo tickets to his concerts? Only 20 people was there at a baseball stadium. You didn't see that, huh?
I thought it was like the first 10 rows.
No, babe. You remember that time at that place we used to work at where we told the kids to come on time because that one artist needed to be first and he didn't come out because it was only a handful of kids. Mm-hmm. That's how it looked.
That's how it looked. But that's a level of petty I can respect.
I mean, 50 did it. We don't know if it's confirmed or not. But
here's the thing. It's the optics. It's the psychological warfare that I can appreciate. Right?
Quavo's still performing, got his money, but I mean,
you didn't take food off his table.
Yeah.
But you messed with his mind. That's a level of petty I can respect. That's a level of petty I can respect. It's like when I was in, like, again, I'm a fugitive, but there were times when I had to stop myself from pulling the trigger on the petty, right? Because if I didn't really like you, then I give you that
plot against people. I can't never take you with me to certain places.
I'm sorry. And she's actually, so folks, she's actually seen me in action. But I just, it's a level of petty I can respect. If he did it, I love it. I love it. Let's ride this out for 2024.
I don't know if I can take much more.
I love it.
Unless they put out real albums and they Chris Brown do like 20 songs in a night.
But that again, that you have to recognize genius when it comes, right? So I remember, again, I have to show my age. Lionel Richie was given an interview, and he was like, "Well, do you want to compete with Michael? You can't compete with somebody like Michael Jackson at that time." Mm-hmm. And he said he always put his album out when Michael was putting his out, because he knew that they were going to get the Michael Jackson album, and he wasn't trying to compete. That's strategy in business. How do I keep food on my table? Is recognize and catch that coattail, because my album is my album. But if they're coming to get a Mike album, then mama and grandmama probably gonna want a Lionel Richie album.
Yeah.
And
now to round this out, you bring up Lionel, but if I don't know if we want to imagine this, but I would have loved to have a little bit of social media back then between Prince and Michael Jackson. That beef.
But I think that beef was imagined. I think we created. They created it.
I don't think so. There's your favorite Purple.
I know, right?
He was super shady. Mike was too. Mike would be like, no.
There's a video of Michael on stage at a James Brown concert, and he brings up Prince. And of course, once you give Prince the microphone and the guitar, that's it, right? I want to believe that it was a healthy rivalry. It really,
I think so, but I mean, when you don't show up to the We Are the World video, because the other one is there.
He wasn't gonna. He wasn't gonna do that. He submitted his own song for it. He didn't. Listen. In my best Lynn Whitfield, we don't fraternize, darling. We don't fraternize, darling. No, we don't do that. Because we are, listen, here's the thing. Y'all watching the documentary, I watched it in real time. I watched it in real time. I watched the whole thing. Yes, Tina Turner saying, "I want a hamburger." Like, I got the whole memory, all of that. But no, I think at that time, when they did that, he still, Prince was very shy. And I think
he
that
was
would have
very
been
shy, and very petty, and very shady.
well.
I've seen the interviews, the clips.
Now but you saw older Prince, like that young Prince was still very much shy, because even when he gave his Oscars acceptance speech,
No. This is young Prince. This is young Prince.
young Prince
Would give side eye, like he did the side eye to the camera. Like he'll say something, he'd be like,
if he couldn't control his image, likeness, and the music, he wouldn't do it. But he did submit the song.
Yeah.
He did submit the song for the album, which was a very good one.
Yeah.
But no, we don't frat, darling.
So let's move from inside to outside. the ivory tower.
Okay.
Let's start with. So we're going to start with presidential transitions, but most of our time. Well, no. Let's start with some feel good news before we get into the BS. Let's start. Let's start with some feel good news. So this is a new segment. Feel good news. That I added just today, right?
Okay.
So hopefully we can feel this every week. Sometimes it can't, because Tennessee State University is set to relaunch its baseball program after 30 years. I think this is so good because I did not look up the statistics, but there's not many Black people in the National Baseball League.
Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball. See, I don't even. That's not my thing.
You don't watch it, right? Okay. No, a lot of people of color, but not African Americans. No.
Yeah. So I think that is great. I went to a PWI, but my freshman class, they brought back football, and that was so exciting. So exciting. Yeah. We got to set the precedent for like homecomings again. And my classmates from like my high school and even my godbrother, who's a little bit younger, were able to play in that first year, and we did really well.
I root for y'all. I root for y'all. I root for your school just because of you. But you have, I think Tennessee State, because this is not the first sport they brought back. What they started something else as well. What did they?
They did. I just saw it. Was it recently?
Recently.
Was it women's basketball? No. Somebody just came back. Fist started gymnastics.
Yeah. Oh, Fist.
And they did really well. Yeah.
So when we're able to do that, because having been over athletics, just even travel alone is expensive to go to different and especially within your conference. And these are sometimes mandatory. So what that says to me is that Tennessee State is committed. That this is not just intramural, like they're committed to what this cost means and what it means to recruit players and support players in this way. Tennessee State has done exceptionally well, and I love that for the outgoing president, my friend, my soror, Glenda Glover. I love that for her. Even the fight for Tennessee, for them to still have students on the mind, like this is another avenue, this is another way, an opportunity for students to go to school, opportunity. Let's create these pipelines, let's get them in Major League Baseball, let's make sure we have quality coaches and all of that. That's important.
So
that we don't
hopefully this will they'll kick off some more trends, getting more baseball. I mean, other sports that, like, we're not a monolith, people. There's some people to play, I like to see the golf and the tennis, and very excited for FIST for their gymnastics, and they did very well out of the gate. Excited for that. So in our second feel good news, we got two feel good news stories today.
I love it.
Xavier University, not Xavier, just Xavier University and Ochsner signed a deal to create the 5th HBCU, medical school. Let me finish that. 5th HBCU medical school in the U.S., which is super important. I went down this rabbit hole, about 2 months ago. It was a Vox article. It was like a random like Vox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what was going on then, but they gave the history of why of like at one time there was a lot of Black medical doctors in the early 60s, 50s. And of course, policy and racism mixed. And I was reading about how the government controls, because that's where the money for medical school education comes from, the government. And so they instituted a policy to where there was only so many graduate placements, so internships, residencies, where students could go, and they didn't want to give no more money to it. And of course, who gets left out? So they had so many students who couldn't get placed, and so that wasn't fair. And so a lot of Black medical schools started to close, which means we had less Black medical doctors, which means we get treated like trash in the medical system. The end. At the end of the day, the day go in, right? So this is, I think, really, really important to just get some more diversity in the medical field to maybe start to right side the inequities we see in the medical, not only field, but how they serve our community.
And here's the other thing: the pipeline for an institution like Xavier to enter this space, Xavier with Meharry, Howard, I can't think of the other two, but to create these pipelines from other HBCUs. Now, not saying that the rigor. I know the rigor has to be there. The rigor will be there. Right. The rigor will be there, right? But to create a pipeline to ensure that students who deserve, who have done the work, who are, to go to these medical schools because they are, let's just be very clear, particularly in what we know about medical racism and bias. We need more Black doctors who are being trained and more white doctors who are being trained by Black professors, medical professors to combat all of this. This is such a good thing for Xavier, just Xavier, not Xavier, just Xavier. I love the way you say that. That's a t-shirt. It's not just good for them, but for the culture, because so many students, whether they're doing MCAT prep, whether they are even, whatever their requirements are, I don't know what they are, but whatever, to teach medicine in that humanistic way, so that we don't have, I can imagine that in 4 or 5 years, a student from Xavier Medical will not automatically assume that Black people can handle pain differently.
Yeah.
Or they will listen to Black women when they say they're in pain after childbirth and they don't go into seizure.
Or we can get more research on us, period.
Right. So this is such a this does make me feel really good for what the possibilities are for training of medical professionals. And of course, it's not going to just be Black students at Xavier. This is going, but the training there at all of our medical schools, I can imagine. We went to remember we went to Nashville for that conference. We gonna laugh because it's inside joke. And I'm gonna tell y'all. Should I tell y'all? Do y'all want to know?
No.
Do y'all want to know? She don't want me to tell you. She want to tell you.
Go ahead. 2 minutes.
Because this is higher ed. And I'm a fugitive. So we go down to this conference about medical school entrance, and I'm at this institution, and so we get there to the registration table, and they don't have my registration.
Mind you, she's provost. I'm assistant provost. We have our secretaries.
My assistant provost, her assistant has done her job and she's gotten her registration paid. Mine was. And here I am with in my good clothes, in my
Your
good
good St.
John,
John,
in my good
your
St.
good red
John,
bottom, your good Louis bag.
my good Louis bag on my arm, and I'm ushered to the side for the problems. So
Can you step over here? I'm sorry. Just step over here so we can handle the rest of everybody behind you.
So at this event, oh my God. So, and then I see colleagues. So they let us go
To the free, you get a free preview because your
we got a
registration.
preview session, right? And then I said, oh, you know what? I can't deal with this because there was no way for me to register. So, and then I see colleagues from my other institution.
Yeah. So from the first hour we was allowed to be there, we learned quite a bit.
We did. So anyway, it's always a fun memory. So that was really the beginning of all of our shenanigans. Because I was in my good St. John.
We enjoyed Nashville though.
We really
let that time go by. We didn't tend nothing on the conference.
We really did. But I think there has to be dedicated pipelines for students at other HBCUs who are not in proximity to not just Xavier, but any of these medical schools. And to teach, and so in med school admissions, to really create the rapport between these other institutions who have pre-med programs. What is it you're looking for? What are the cutting edge things that we need to start talking about in our pre-med, in our biology, not just in recruitment, but really to make this a seamless transition. Yeah. So that they have the foundation and that they don't get lost once they get there. So I think we can start having those kind of conversations between these HBCU med schools and the HBCUs. Yeah. About what needs, because sometimes it's difficult for HBCUs to change curriculum because you got the same professor that's been there since Moses. So we want, and what they remember is not what is actually current at this time. So we really need to create those kind of pipeways and relationships. But this is amazing for Xavier.
Yeah. I think I was most excited because I was over the minority pre-professional organization when I worked at LSU. And I saw how those babies, I'm trying to keep track of some of them. I know maybe out of all the ones I work with, maybe 2 or 3 end up going. And some had to go like out of the country to the I think it was Virgin Islands. I can't remember. There's a medical school there that like if you couldn't get into any of the US, but it was just so hard for them coming back. And also I had colleagues who were in my graduate programs. I was getting my biology and my master's biology. I saw their trouble and challenge in getting into medical school. And I knew they were bright, had the grades, the tenacity, and I saw the difficulty because there aren't many spots. And so I think that's why this made me smile to know that there's just, even if it's 100, 200 seats opening up, that means a lot, especially in Louisiana. Hopefully we can get some local people in to go. So we have, LSU medical school, and now we'll have Xavier in our own backyard. So that feels good.
And the more we educate Black doctors and create these wonderful pipelines, the more we begin to trust again, because we do have so much distrust with the medical field, rightfully so, right? But as an educator, I want to make sure that that my students know exactly what's going on, what the best avenues for them, where the internships, where the research opportunities, where all of that, to make sure that when I do send them out into the world, that they are fully prepared. Yeah. Because every time we send a student out, they go with us on them. Like they go under our protection and name. Yeah. Get them to that point. So yeah. But this is great.
And it's also great for rural areas, because we know, I think even from that article, there's so many. All of the main medical hospitals are located in urban areas. Right. And so there's not a lot of people, a lot of access students will have to travel so many. It's a hardship, it's a financial hardship, a burden for them just to get settled into school. So again, this is means a lot for people who are in Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Georgia. Like now we have another place in these rural areas to get more doctors in. So yeah, that's our feel good news. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and even students who do not earn a baccalaureate degree from HBCUs, a lot of Black students at our PWIs are not encouraged to go to medical school.
Yeah.
They're not encouraged. And so this is another place. And also they get to get some of the culture. So you don't get on the front end, you get on the back end.
Like me.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. My graduate, like I needed Southern at the time that I needed. I had a good thing set up at Southeastern because of their commitment to diversity.
Yeah.
I don't wear a Southeastern shirt today. I'm so sorry, but no, I did have they did have really great people who committed to diversity and community. So I had that, but when I went to Southern, it changed me in such a great way. And I say I did my master's and my PhD there, and did TA, GA, all that good stuff. So it's very important to get that experience one way or another.
That's right. I'm telling you.
So
on to
the not so good news. Transitions and everywhere, not even presidential transitions, just transitions. So I have two things. Vivian Hunt is to serve as the next president of the board of overseers for the search of the new Harvard president. This is significant because Vivian Hunt is a Black woman, and she's looking for the replacement of another Black woman who was president of Harvard. Yay!
Now I want you to go back a little bit. I want you to go back. What's the board called?
So I didn't do my research quite. It's the president of the board of overseers. I don't know if that's different. Is that the board?
That's the board. But see, see, language is important. You talk to each problem. The board of overseers in this moment.
You feel like do you feel like that's really bad? Back overseer?
But most of the overseers I know were on the plantation. Most overseers. I have never heard. You can oversee something, sure, but to call someone an overseer,
That's what we call the board of masters. The masters.
Listen.
I mean, all of the things that we get as I'm digging to the world of work, everything that we say comes from slavery. Boss comes from slavery.
Patrol,
pleasure, all of that comes from slavery. So yes, overseer. I'm like, okay. I didn't know which way he was going, but when she said it, I kind of figured he was going that way.
Listen,
way, that's to the left.
So when I went to graduate school, my father gifted me a 1985 BMW. I was 11 when it came off the line. Okay, where is this going? So of course it broke down, and so the man says to me, "I have to fix the slave cylinder," and I said, "Excuse me." Excuse me. See that? We're talking about somebody who went to Tougaloo College on a plantation, right? So I'm very steeped in history and all of that. He said, "Yeah, there are two cylinders. There's a master cylinder, and then there's a slave cylinder." I said, "Y'all couldn't come up with another name for that?" And the look on his face of recognition in that moment, like, "Oh, never thought about it." So it's all of it: patrol, padroller.
The master bedroom,
the master all of that, all of that,
ledger, ledgers, accounts, balance, yeah,
Okay.
all of that.
So I you just threw me off with, yes, the board of overseers. But okay.
The board of overseers, yeah.
So yeah, so
Not the board of directors,
not regents,
board of
not
regents.
trustees,
Okay.
not trustees, even though that, yeah, it's probably, but all of, okay, but just okay, all right.
Yeah. But that's all I got. I mean, we're gonna see what comes out of here. We doubt
Right.
if it's gonna be another person of color. I think
No,
we had our shot at that.
it will not be, because I think the grand experiment, as far as they are concerned, is over.
But we
And
had a president of color. We had
exactly.
one. We had Barack.
And she
Everything's
plays right.
good. And we had Claudine, Dr. Claudine. Everything's good. What racism?
I mean, it's not our fault that she misrepresent. No, you went looking and looking. I mean, this is
you didn't defend
by design,
no
right?
defense.
I mean, it's by design. So we'll see what happens. I can guarantee you, it won't be it won't be a DWM, or as we say in English literary studies, a dead white man, but he'll be close to
it. Probably go back.
Yeah,
take us back.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. You have another one?
Yeah, just one more. Not much to say about this either. So the man who is over the financial aid application steps down.
Surprise!
Surprise!
You know, that has been an ultimate debacle. Now, here's the thing: it's the ultimate debacle. But is stepping down was stepping down the right thing to do?
No, I actually have a mentee who actually, and yes, I'm bragging. Client mentee actually has a line in the article that I pulled this from, and she actually said what you said. It is the worst time to have a leadership change here. And although the article went on, you can read it on USA. I got it from USA Today. Although the article went on to say, of course, during his tenure, he was responsible for the student loan forgiveness things and this and that and that and that. This is still a blemish, and I hate that this is falling in his lap, and he probably got to take the bend the knee for it and leave. But going back to our last two podcasts, where we were like, why would you get a defense contractor to build it? We know that you did this, but like, and I don't know. Somebody else could tell me. If you listen to us, we hope you do. If you got some insight. I don't like it when you don't get the people who know to help you build this. And this is what happens when you don't let people in the room, when you don't let the right stakeholders, the right expertise, a diverse voice in the room. This is what you get. You probably never even thought to, you might have went to the big national organization of financial aid counselors and advisors. Yes. But did you get enough did you survey enough people? Did you do enough groups? And who was at the table when you built this?
Right. I think I mentioned this, and for those of you who heard it, my apologies. But it makes no sense to me that we got to fill out all this paperwork. It never did. You got the incomes. You have all of this through the IRS. You know what it has to be at some point, some kind of one-stop shop in that way. I think the idea to streamline it was a great one. He just didn't have the execution of it. But even now, this is a truly bad time for a leadership change to get somebody in. And so what it does is it puts the rest of the loan, even applying for a loan forgiveness, you got the paperwork.
I filled that out several times. I've actually filled out all of these student loan payment plans, How many times I have to tell you, and I'm letting everybody know my business? No, I don't have no job. Not right now.
Right.
We're taking a pause to consistent
Right.
income while I build my. I don't have it, but you
Right.
still say, "Oh, we understand you don't have technically zero income, so we're going to save you money. So, this is a payment plan we have. It's still $1,000."
Who gonna pay that? Who? I just got a letter from Mohila last week. Oh, we got your application. Really? Thank you for that.
I'm gonna have to send in my forgiveness in again.
You know, but you've got it's a button. It's a button. If you can fix it so that I can pay you automatically, you can automatically go in there and say 00000. Because literally, I am scheduled to complete my loans in 2038.
Lord.
I will be in my 60s. So even all of it, so for him to, yes, I think I think with a rush to judgment, we do this in higher ed administration. Something goes terribly wrong, and instead of allowing people to learn from it, what do we learn from our the biggest regional accreditor, SAC-COC? Continuous improvement. It's okay. It's something. If you we've created a society where it is not okay to mess up.
Never.
And if you don't mess up, you end up repeating the mess up, right? When you look at people who are, I said this to my hairstylist a couple of weeks ago, and I use some very colorful language that I will not use here. But if you don't mess up early on or do something to fix it, or you're afraid to mess up, or you create that atmosphere, then that's how people become utter, lifelong mess ups.
And
take
quitters.
that, right? And quitters, right? Because you haven't messed up to recover from it.
Yeah.
And so I think to give him an opportunity to say, oh yeah, well, this didn't work well. Let's go back and find out what was going right. So we have a good intent. You wanted to streamline the process. Mea culpa. Hey, let me call National Association of Financial Aid Advisors. What is it that you all need to see? What is it that we need to do at this point? Right? I think him stepping down is an easy out for somebody else and a very politically motivated decision.
Like this is the first thing to show face is to have a was a tribute.
Yeah.
And prayers to the person coming behind him.
Yeah, because he's got to clean all that up, as opposed to allowing somebody who had a vision to clean it up.
Yeah.
You know, we create these atmospheres in higher ed and in education in general where one mistake can cost you everything. And that just shouldn't be the case. That's not the lesson we should be teaching even our students and our children.
And we are assuming that it's like a resignation. But I mean, he really could have just been tired. I'm tired of all of this. This is not my vision. This is a mess. Right. He may have inherited. I know he's only been there 3 years. We don't know. In any rate, this ain't the right time. Whether it's your choice or their choice, this ain't the right time.
No.
You could have saw it out until the end, until enrollment, in the time of enrollment, until August, October, until the next time the application opens. Like it's or either be training a replacement until then to hand it off.
Yeah,
30 days ain't enough. Even at the end of June.
I wonder if we go down the rabbit hole, you know, are we gonna find out that he was made to take that defense contractor?
Probably.
If that was a political motivation, even though of course that would be against the law too. But I just think that, you know, we got to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, timing is everything. even when I left, I had, my transition plan was to teach online. I stayed through the summer to work on the diversity plan, to help the new provost come in, and let her know where the landmines were, as best I could.
She ain't listen.
Right? She didn't listen, but hey, it's on them, you know. But I did what I thought was best to stay through the summer and move back. And then, of course, it all turned on me. But, you know, fine, whatever. I did what I thought was best at the time to make sure that there was a transition until she was in place.
Yeah, my most recent position, I left a year because I knew we were such a small organization and I wanted to lessen the trauma of a transition, good or bad, to stay at least a year. That was a long time, but I did it.
It was a long time. It was a long time.
Very long time. Regretted it not 3 months in. But yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's a lesson. I don't want to put this on HBCUs, but I just remember a time when we were so in awe of the president of Fayetteville State talking about succession planning. That was something that was music to our ears, because that was a rarity of him actually saying, I'm not gonna be here forever. As soon as I got in, we started talking about succession. And I thought that was the most responsible leadership move that you can actually make.
Yes.
And even seeing that in my own church, the founder, senior pastor passed away, but we had always, there's a board and a membership, what was going to happen. We didn't think it was going to be now, but he didn't know it was going to be now. But he said, just in case, this is what's going to happen. We were not in shocked that he was gone. But as soon as he wasn't, we all knew all positions moved up. His wife moved up, our pastor, the daughter moved up. We all, the board shift, leadership shift, and it was a well-oiled machine because we had been taught this is what's going to happen. We had been trained by him all of these years to move, and we did not miss a beat. But that is succession. That is a legacy, and it's not only for you, but it's for the institution, the org, and we can learn that a little bit better. You should do that a little bit better, boards. A little bit.
It's always, and it allows an institution, no matter what it is, to feel confident in the face of the change, because there's so much anxiety associated with what's going to happen and this is going to happen, that people make missteps that they wouldn't normally make because they're making them out of fear. And so when you have a succession plan, or when you allow somebody to transition, especially when you're dealing with something as massive as financial aid for hundreds of thousands of high schoolers coming out, or even the ones, college students, all of that, because everybody had to fill out this form every year.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, well, maybe this wasn't the job for me, but you've put so much in place. There has to be some kind of transition, that it doesn't just throw everybody in a tizzy. And so when people get into a tizzy, again, show my age, that means that they're going to make some bad decisions, especially at a time when some of these high schoolers are like, well, college is a flex. I don't want to go. I can go make money, doing X, Y, and Z, because that's what TikTok showed them how to do.
Yeah, I was about to.
Or they want to be they want to be YouTube influencers. So, or and some of them have real hustles and entrepreneurial spirit, but we also want to teach them other skill sets. But that's just not. Yeah, we have to be more mindful about the period of transition, to make sure that everyone believes in what's happening, or is communicate what's happening in these transitional spaces. Or everybody goes, it's like those little animals when they open the door on Men in Black.
Yeah.
the light is on. You know, it's just that's that's when things don't go well. And we've seen it so many times. So and that leads me to, you know, we have the other TSU, Texas Southern University, has named one finalist in their presidential search. Just one. Just one. Just one. Just one. James Crawford. Let me pull up.
Congrats to you, sir.
Congrats to you. He was named as the one finalist. I want to make sure that I give you a little bit about him, because this is breaking news from what I understand.
Yeah, April 29th.
But you know, breaking news. And he has served as president of a college in New Jersey. What did I tell you? I thought I'd written it down, but I also thought I had
Felician University in New
Yes, never heard
Jersey.
of it. I think it's yeah. Um So, and this is reported, I'm getting this from the Journal of Blacks in Higher Education website, that he was president there for 2 years and had served as the interim for 9 months again. So one finalist. I you know, I don't know him personally. So during his time as president, in the 2 years of president of Felician, he made multiple infrastructure improvements, including a new wellness and recreation center and a STEM center. But most of his background has been military service, and he has served as a military advisor to former presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama. His undergraduate education was at Belmont Abbey College in North Carolina. He has a JD from North Carolina and a Master of Laws degree in Ocean and Coastal Law from the University of Miami, and a master's degree in Security and Strategic Studies from the Naval War College. So he has been named as the sole finalist for the presidency of Texas Southern University. Congrats.
Congrats. I hope that his leadership reflects their goals as a board and as an institution. And
yes, I'm gonna be nice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Make sure mine is off.
And I'm about to let's see. I'm gonna cut it off completely. All right. So I'm glad I do hope that he does well. Clearly he's going to be the selection. Again, it goes back to transition, openness. Almost like a promotional tour, publicity tour. Who is he? And all of that. I think I do think it's problematic to only have one finalist. That's a clear, you know, I'm sure at a search firm, I'm sure that they interview candidates, and if you only had one to come out, I think that might be just no diversity of perspectives, at least.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a woman in that pool. And it's, you know, we'll see.
Yeah. That's what we always hope for, right? Diversity of diversity.
Of candidates' perspectives. I do know that the relationship between Texas Southern University and the state of Texas is sometimes gets on a how shall I put it? It's a very tenuous relationship, particularly with the law school, and that may have been
that could be a big. I see where you're going.
Yeah, because of his law background, and at least if he has any Republican ties, that could create some political goodwill between Texas Southern and the state of Texas, particularly in their political state right now. But I do think just having one name or one finalist is always very key. Always means that there's there are not enough voices at that table. If you only have one finalist, who are they? Semi-finalists that you narrowed it down to. But I hope he was that dynamic with them, because Texas Southern really deserves good leadership.
Yeah.
Say this. Yeah, they do deserve that.
So moving on to our last news, because you don't have time or money to read the Chronicle. We're going to merge this in with our main news segment, which is dominating the headlines. Student protests. So last time we talked about USC, I think we left off where they canceled the valedictorian. In between episodes, they canceled everybody speaking. And then also between episodes, they canceled the whole dang on thing. Nobody's walking across this stage.
Said nobody.
So
I do hate that.
Yeah. And it seems like they're not the only ones who are having student protests. The Chronicle, because now I do have time. Somebody else, my co-host, has the money to sponsor the subscription. They do a really good job at maps. So last time I talked about the DI map, they need to give us the sponsorship.
Right, definitely, because we.
So last time we talked about the DI map. This time they actually have a protest map, and there's about 100 protests, and you can probably guess where they're not protesting. You can probably guess. So, but they do almost all states, huh?
They're not protesting the HBCUs. Is there one on there? Is there one on the list?
I don't think so. I'm going to say no. Most of these are like liberal private institutions. So California, you can guess the Berkeleys, the USCs, there's a couple. So California has a lot. I think California has 6. Texas, Arizona, Denver, New Mexico, Missouri, Illinois, Ohio, Louisiana, 1 at Tulane, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, I think, has 2. The heaviness was on the East Coast, Northeast Coast, the New Yorks, the Connecticut's, New Jersey, MIT, Rhode Island. I know I'm mixing up states and institutions together. They all had protests. So like 100 across. So it's like West Coast, Southern, East Coast, Middle America, some at the North. Middle America was like, yeah, we're not doing this. But that leads us into
UCLA just had one last night, right? UCLA just had one night before last night.
Yeah. So this leads us to a couple of topics. So if you aren't tuned in, most students are protesting to divest. Most students so the bigger picture is about the supporting Palestine, how America is dealing with the war, but specifically the students are protesting that universities needs to divest their endowments from anything Israel. They need to divest their portfolios. I have a quote which can lead us in to our discussion. So, divestment movement, which often targets fossil fuel companies, directs institutions to make moral statements by financially penalizing organizations and governments that divest. Proponents believe are promoting social ills. College administrators have refused to commit to divestment from Israel so far. Many of them oppose boycotts on principle. Others say such a move could run them into trouble with state and federal law. Which I don't get that. You can remark on that. Higher ed leaders are also increasingly reluctant to take positions that could be perceived as political. I get that. Amid greater scrutiny from politicians and others. Critics of divestment campaigns say they cut against the core purpose of a college endowment, which is to make money for the institution. There goes that statement, right? Yeah. So you can read more about that. This is coming from the Chronicle, which has a really great article. So student protests, divestments, canceling graduations. Our main question this episode: what happens when we take away the free speech and peaceful protests of students?
That is when you go into anarchy. Yeah. I mean, this where are we supposed if we're not supposed to have these kinds of discussions, forums, dialogues at the college level before you send these kids out in the world? If you don't have them there, then where are you supposed to have them?
Who's training them? Who's telling them? Who's showing them how you can have discourse and you can practice your freedom of speech?
Exactly. I mean, so we when I have to see, though it does my heart good to see faculty out there supporting students, they're also putting their jobs on the line, and so that brings in academic freedom. That brings in, this sort of politicizing of the ability. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I have to fight to the death to allow you to say it, because that is your right to say whatever it is that you want to say, right? As long as you don't yell fire in a crowded room.
Yeah.
But so what we're teaching our students and what they're learning is that their voice doesn't matter. And as you said earlier, off camera, if we don't teach them to be able to stand up and express themselves and listen as someone else expresses themselves, then when it's time for them to really take a stand on something, they're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
They're not going, and they're going to be living in fear of saying. Now, whether or not you agree with whatever side you're on, then you have to worry about what does the labeling mean. And even to say I understand both any side means that you are somehow anti the other side. That's not necessarily true. We have to teach them how to have discourse and come somewhere and meet in the middle. But we're not allowing our students to do that. And canceling commencement. Let me tell you something. When I saw that USC had canceled commencement, and somebody has paid almost $150,000 for their degree. Oh, somebody walking across the stage.
It's gonna happen.
Somebody in my family is walking across that particular stage. Now, y'all, you can do it voluntarily or that these families who have not engaged in any of this will be harmed because you won't take a stand as an institution of higher learning to be an example of higher learning.
Yeah.
That is, we're gonna get to the point where every day is gonna be like January 6th.
Yeah, and this is the allegedly hire. We're allegedly supposed to be a place where you research the right information, gain perspective, valid perspective. You
Right.
gain multiple perspectives. You form your argument. You listen to other arguments, and you stand on your values and your principles with reasoning and logic, under hearing all sides,
Right.
understanding all sides, and say, okay, I get it. This is my side. This is your side. What do we have in common? I'm going to take from my hometown. If you can't go to it, what is going to happen? Where we going to go? Where's going to happen? There's no place that teaches that. And the place of higher learning,
right?
The place where our mission is to develop global citizens.
So
we missed that mark. We shot blind. Like we have failed.
Right, and I think what it reminds me of that of school days, right? DAP wants them to divest their endowment from South Africa's apartheid, and the main benefactor, Snodgrass, whatever his name is a businessman who's a philanthropist, but most of his holdings are in South Africa. Okay, well,
yeah,
it's business. This is money, and what we get to the end of the day, that most of it will be about money. So, we got to think about that, as we call it, saying this is about higher ed and education.
Basically, we're not going to divest because it's about money. Not like there's other places to invest to recoup that money. Like exactly. I just hate when people say no. Like right off the bat, you're not even gonna consider it,
right?
Like because you're not even going to say, let's look at this and say, how can this happen? I think Brown University, and I forgot to mention that, is the only university I've heard in the news to say we are considering divesting.
Right.
Give us that. Say consider it. Say we're opening up an ad hoc committee, the ad hoc endowment committee, to see what our other options. We're bringing in our financial advisor to see what's our other option. We're going to give a report, the board, something.
And that's
here.
That's
give them the issues and hear them.
And so if you don't allow them, that space to then explain, okay, these are where, because a lot of people say endowment and they don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
And there are penalties to it. It's a business. I remember with Sweetwater, all women's college in the Northeast somewhere, right? They were losing money. Enrollment was down, and they had a $98 million endowment. Okay, so even with that, y'all couldn't make it. Like, I don't, those of us who work at HBCUs, we go, wait a minute, you couldn't do what with a $98 million endowment? But anyway, I digress. But there are penalties in those investments. It has to be measured, and I think you could go, if that is the goal, to go with a plan to do that gradually as investments mature. But if this is about, because really political unrest at this point, these are not religious wars. Yeah, these are economic, financial opportunities from one side to the other. That's what they are. And so we don't have we do not have the moral high ground as institutions of higher learning to tell students that you have no voice. So it's it's unfortunate that they're canceling commencements. It's unfortunate that faculty are losing their tenured faculty positions for protecting students, which of course they tell us to do at every faculty staff institute, because they're, to embrace and empower and all of this. And we say it, except we want to empower our students to go out into the world
unprepared with no voice.
Right. we want them to, but when it comes to them taking the lessons that we've given them, the historical, the political, the sociological, the communicative, lessons that we've given them, when they turn that back on us, we got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want it back. What we want is for you to graduate and then send us a check. That's what we want, right? But we're getting into some very dangerous territories with academic freedom of speech. And I do find that once the smoke clears, there will be some students who are either going to face expulsion or suspension. They are losing law school admissions. They're losing jobs and internships. Somebody's going to then make this a financial thing, and they're going to get sued because that was a violation of their First Amendment right to free speech. Just like we have freedom of religion, right? There is a separation of church and state. So until you bring these two sides together to have a conversation, we are, the war of the Middle East that I've heard about since I was a child has not ended. But at least on the college campus, you can bring these two sides to have a common ground.
And I haven't even seen any indication of presidents hosting town halls with students.
No,
or
it's been
having conversations. It's just, let's clear out the tents, calling the police. Tulane, I saw the interview where the students said we were peaceful. We were actually praying while they sprayed us with a smoke bomb.
These knee-jerk administrative reactions. Again, I'm the fugitive. You can't make a knee-jerk reaction, right? You have to. There were times as we were going through, y'all can Google it because I don't want to talk about it. But when we were going through all of that, and there were people saying, well, you just fire so-and-so and get rid of so-and-so. I can't do that. I can't, and in a position of trust and a position of power, I have to be able, first of all, I want to sleep at night, but I have to be able to see all sides. They don't have to like me to respect me, but I have to do the right thing even if other people won't. And you cannot make knee-jerk reactions. Arresting your student body, your student body, firing
and
your faculty.
I just saw an article where faculty were handcuffed on side of students on the bus to the jailhouse.
So now, if I'm a student, am I going there in the fall? If I'm a faculty member, am I taking that place? Am I going into that classroom on that campus where if something I believe in, I'm doing the best thing I can do to protect these children, these students, my students, and I'm going to jail for it? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And I think
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I just really, I mourn that for them because we're entering that space where if a college campus becomes this, they already getting rid of diversity, equity, inclusion. So those voices are going to go away. Those ideas, you're fighting ideas, all of that is going away. Then we're starting to look very much like other groups that we don't ever want to be associated with. Right? It's sort of, if everyone has to think the same way, and everyone has to look the same, and everyone has to, Heil.
Yeah, and they don't, the intersection of politics and higher ed and all of this, they don't realize that these students are going to be the majority of the voting bloc. And they go get their payback. They go get it. And I hate it's going to be against everybody. Republicans,
now,
Democrats alike. Like there's
exactly.
not. This is going to turn the tides of everything.
A group of Morehouse alumni do not want President Biden come to speak at graduation. I
Nope.
forgot to mention.
Yeah, I did forget that too. I bookmarked that somewhere.
It just came like, well, we're getting there. That's what we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to think about. You have to see the bird's eye view of this. You have to understand. Our institutions have to understand the implications of what they're doing at this point. USC should never have canceled her speech or any of the other speeches to be given that day.
Yeah.
Cancel commencement. Other institutions are following suit. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. It's not a good thing to disrespect your speakers. It's not. It sets a bad precedent for free speech and dialogue on these campuses.
Yeah.
And so we're sending hurt out into the world. And we talk about, in our community, like church hurt, and I also call it HBCU hurt, and I've not experienced church hurt in a lot of ways, but I have experienced HBCU hurt. This is this academic hurt. You send that out into the world, you're going to change the dynamic of this country forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we shall see.
So as we wrap up this episode, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I think that was it for me. Like we have to, as we end on this sort of somber note, we have to teach our children, who then become these students, how to communicate effectively, how to listen, how to be empathetic, how to demonstrate and to demonstrate that humanity, even with someone you disagree with, because that's a life lesson, right? And so that's my final thought on that, because that if our institutions drop the ball now, because this is the last vestige of time, this is the last moment of time that they are, though they're adults, that we are ushering them into full adulthood. And when we don't do that, well, we get the consequences of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Agreed.
we have to really be mindful. That's my final thought on
that. Same here. I've been seeing kind of what's been on top of my mind this week is how we communicate with each other, and it's getting worse. Whether it's friends, family, colleagues, we just don't know how to communicate with each other. And I think higher education, we want to do that, but we haven't been doing a good job of that. And right. I think it starts with us, even from internal with the students to professors, to college, to staff. Everybody needs a better lesson in communication, learning, listening, and being empathetic toward each other. So this is we're going to continue to cover this and other stories. I don't think we're done talking about this. And I'm curious, are you going to reschedule graduation? Are you trying to wait this out? Are you going to give them a chance to come back and walk across the stage? Like, what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? And you've just really given the valedictorian a way larger platform than she would have ever had you just let her speak.
No one would have known. No one would have known. No one would have known.
We still would have been listening to the Chris Brown and Quavo drama. We would not have even blinked an eye that USC had a valedictorian who had pro-Palestine content on her Instagram. Like, it's ridiculous. So as we come to the conclusion of Allegedly Higher, thank you so much for joining, and visit us and follow us on Allegedly Higher on Instagram, on YouTube. If you're listening other places other than YouTube, you can get us everywhere. If you want to see our pretty faces, or if you just want to listen to our great voices, you can listen on all platforms: iHeart, YouTube, Spotify, and you can also follow us on Instagram. As soon as we get our stuff together, we'll be posting more, especially the stories that we cover on our Instagram, and to continue this dialogue offline or online, just another platform. I don't know. I'm tired. I didn't give y'all the disclaimer at the top of the show, but I think I did pretty well.
Yes, you did. Of course, as always.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jackson, for joining me. And
yes, of course.
Thank you all for listening. Share this with others. We're trying to get our listeners up, our ratings up. So continue to spread this podcast to your friends and colleagues. And we hope that you're having a wonderful day. And until next time, be great. See you next time.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time.